You've been scrolling through endless speaker options, trying to picture how the next set will actually live in your living room, blend with the decor, and most importantly, stay reliable enough that you won't be tweaking settings every weekend. The fear of splurging on a flashy bundle that sounds amazing on paper but ends up sounding thin or, worse, gets lost in the chaos of your home theater layout is real. You want something that just works good enough to impress friends during movie night, solid enough for daily TV binging, and worth every penny you spend. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. That's why I spent a few evenings actually sketching out a typical Dolby Atmos setup, reading the fine print on the Polk Reserve R900 height modules and the R350 center channel, and then stepping back to think about the everyday moments that matter. The kids' cartoon marathon, the weekend sports binge, the occasional soundtrack-heavy film where you really want that overhead, flyover feeling. The Polk Reserve bundle promises a clean, modern look and a claim of Hire's audio and Dolby Atmos certification. But let's dig into what that actually means once the boxes are opened. First off, who should consider these speakers? If you already have a solid front left and front right pair, say a set of Polk's own Reserve series, or any other reputable bookshelf or floor-standing speakers, then the R900 height modules slot in neatly above those fronts to give you that three-dimensional ambience. The R350, with its slim cabinet, takes over the center channel duties, handling dialogue and anchoring the soundstage. In short, anyone who's already built a decent front soundstage and is looking to add that extra layer of height without turning the room into a visual junkyard will find the R900 and R350 a logical next step. On the flip side, if you're starting from scratch with a budget-friendly 2.1 or 5.1 system and you still need full-range left, right, and surround speakers, you might be better off channeling that money into a more complete speaker package. The height modules are essentially an add-in, and the R350, while elegant, doesn't replace a full-range floor-standing unit. So if you're still missing those primary drivers, this bundle alone won't give you a balanced, full-room experience. Now, the practical strengths. The first thing I noticed after mounting the R900 modules was how low-profile they truly are. The cross-brace cabinet lets the modules sit just a few inches below the ceiling line, so you don't end up with those clunky, boxy height speakers that scream DIY theater the moment you walk in. Because they're only about a foot wide, they blend into a typical 8-foot ceiling without drawing attention. That's a big win for anyone who cares about aesthetics as much as audio. In terms of sound, the 1-inch tweeter and 4-inch woofers in the height module do a surprisingly balanced job. When I cranked up an Atmos-encoded scene from an action movie, think a helicopter flying overhead, the sound actually seemed to come from above me instead of just being a phantom effect from the front speakers. It wasn't a shrill, overly bright top end. The tweeter stayed smooth, and the small woofers added just enough body to make explosions feel present without muddying the mid-range. For dialogue-heavy content, the R350 truly shines. Its modern, slim chassis houses a single driver that's aimed directly at the listening spot, and the result is crystal-clear speech that cuts through the mix. I could watch a thriller with rapid back-and-forth conversation and never have to strain to catch a line, even at lower volume levels. Another real-world benefit is the ease of integration. Both modules are calibrated for Dolby Atmos and Hire's audio, so you don't need a fancy external processor to get them talking to your AV receiver. Most modern receivers will auto-detect the speakers and assign them to the correct channel, which saves you the headache of manually setting crossover frequencies or dealing with complex EQ curves. In a typical weekend setup, you just plug in the speaker wires, run a short calibration through your receiver's built-in mic, and you're good to go. However, there are practical trade-offs you should be aware of. The R900 height module's small woofers mean you won't get the deep rumble you might expect from a dedicated subwoofer or larger height speaker. If you're a fan of ultra-low atmospheric effects like the subtle roll of distant thunder that you can feel in your chest, you might find the effect a bit thin. That's not a flaw. It's just a design choice aimed at keeping the module unobtrusive. Pairing it with a decent subwoofer is still advisable for the full home theater experience. The R350's sleek design also comes with a limitation. It's a single-driver unit, which means the frequency range is narrower than a multi-driver center speaker that splits the workload between a dedicated tweeter and mid-woofer. In practice, this translates to a slight dip in the upper mid-range during music playback where you might hear a tiny hollow feeling in complex passages. For movies and TV shows, the trade-off is hardly noticeable, but if your primary use